Do you always seem fine to others, but on the inside you're overwhelmed? Do you tend to take on more and more, saying that you can handle it, but you end up feeling exhausted and underappreciated for your efforts? Do you feel responsible for everybody else, for their emotions, for their schedules, for their peace of mind, even when it costs you your own? If this sounds like you, then this video is just for you, especially if you are a caring, determined, ambitious person who may be in a high-pressure work environment, or you feel like you're living a fast-paced life, or you simply hold yourself to high standards and you are ambitious. You may actually be high-functioning and struggle with anxiety. Now you may ask, what is high-functioning anxiety? Well, high-functioning anxiety is when you look calm and competent on the outside, but on the inside you feel overwhelmed, you feel anxious, and you constantly feel on edge. Maybe you look like you have it all together on the outside. Maybe you get things done. You may be the one that people rely on and count on. But on the inside, you're constantly anxious. People just can't see it. And so by the end of this video, you're finally going to understand what high-functioning anxiety looks like. I'm going to provide you with examples so that you can start recognizing these signs in yourself. But before we dive into what's really going on, I want to share a story with you about a client of mine. She is intelligent, she's ambitious, her work gives her purpose and meets her emotional needs. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a CFO at a large corporate organization. And she is the one that people turn to. She's the one that people tend to confide in. And she shared with me that she tends to take responsibility for things and people where she feels like she shouldn't. She often said that she would make or handle payments, for example, for her husband's business and take responsibility for that, when she knew deep down that he should really be taking responsibility for it. And it's not that she ends up doing things for other people because she has time. She actually works beyond her 9 to 5 to deliver a standard of excellence at work. She wakes up early in the morning to exercise. She takes care of her family, her colleagues, her friends. And so it's not that she does these things because she has time. She does these things because she is the capable one, because she has the resilience and the grit to do it without really crumbling. She always gets over the line. She always gets herself across the line. But because she's done it for so long, she feels like she's now created the expectation. She feels like people now expect her to do things. And because she's created this expectation, she takes on more and more, and her workload piles up, and she starts feeling like she's drowning in work responsibilities and chores and home responsibilities. And when her and her husband get into a fight of any sort or a conflict, and there's tension between them, and he may become critical or impatient with her, she doesn't only feel hurt, she feels resentful because she's done so much even when it was hard for her, and she still doesn't feel appreciated. And this isn't just in her relationship with her husband, it's also in her other relationships in her life. And what ends up happening is that it creates this disconnect and this distance in the relationship, and it breeds resentment. What you may not be aware of is there are patterns that you keep repeating that keep leading to your anxiety, and that are keeping you in these loops of the same behaviors over and over again that are not serving you. So for example, you've learned to carry other people's overwhelm. You've learned to manage the emotions of other people, the emotions that don't belong to you. You've learned to be the one who holds everything together, the gel that keeps everything together, even though you feel like screaming inside or falling apart yourself. And just because you are the capable one and you can carry these responsibilities, it doesn't mean that you should. What you may also not realize is the very traits that make you capable, that make you responsible, are the same traits, the empathy, your strength, your desire to help. These are the same traits that have also now developed into your patterns of overfunctioning. Okay, so that takes us into the signs of high functioning anxiety. Let's go through a few examples. Example 1 is you say yes to people and things even when you feel overwhelmed and exhausted. You take on more and more to avoid disappointing others. You lie awake at night, your sleep is disrupted. Maybe you struggle to sleep. You lie awake thinking about what you forgot to do or what you may forget to do tomorrow. You aren't present in the moment and you struggle to enjoy the present moments when you're not working, whether it's during hobbies or with your family or with your friends. You may feel stressed out, you may feel distanced, like you're not really there in the present moment and able to find joy in those moments. You feel like you're always behind, even though you are getting things done. You feel guilty asking for help, but on the other hand, exhausted doing it all yourself. You keep it together in front of others, but you feel like you're crumbling or falling apart in private. You look calm on the outside, but your mind never switches off. Your mind is always running. You may feel it physically, like tension in your body or headaches, or you may have knots in your stomach or digestive issues. You feel guilty resting. You feel like you always need to be productive or tick off something on your list that's going to add value. You may even say things like, I can handle it, or it's just easier if I get it done myself because I know that it will be done properly, or other people have it harder, or other people can't keep up. The thing is that you've been conditioned this way. You've been conditioned to take responsibility for others and to be helpful, but it's not helpful to you. You've learned that being strong means never needing support, and you've internalized this idea that ease and peace in your life feels selfish and that it's noble to actually suffer and struggle. But this isn't about your workload, it's not about time, it's not about how fast-paced your life is or how much pressure you have. It's actually about your relationship with yourself. It's about your self-esteem and your self-worth. And it's not your fault because these patterns that you've been conditioned with go a long way back and they've been learned. And that means the beautiful thing is that they can be unlearned. So going back to the client I mentioned, in our sessions, she uncovered something really powerful, that her anxiety wasn't just random. It was actually a coping pattern of years of her being the dependable one. So she wasn't aware that every day she was actually telling herself that she was the one that other people needed to depend on. She was the one who needed to hold it together. Not in an arrogant way, but because she had been responsible in an efficient and an effective way for so long. She had done this from such a young age that these behaviors were now normal to her and she couldn't see how they weren't serving her anymore or how to actually break the cycle and start behaving in ways that would serve her in the life that she wanted to live. And so because she believed this and she had been doing it for such a long time, whether it was taking care of her siblings, her younger siblings from a young age, or picking up the slack for her colleagues, or overcompensating for where other people fell short, she constantly felt anxious and on edge, like there was always something that she needed to pick up or absorb or compensate for or do. And it was these beliefs that she needed to be in control of everything all the time that caused her anxiety, that she needed to be perfect and do everything perfectly and be in control and look competent and be competent and be on top of everything and be involved in everything. And so her anxiety propelled her to actually stay in the same cycle of overworking and overfunctioning, and ultimately led to her feeling drained and exhausted and burnt out. And so what she didn't know is that she didn't actually need to become someone else to break her cycle of overwhelm and anxiety and exhaustion. She needed to stop putting others first and putting her own best interests last. And that is what you learn to do by building your self-esteem. You learn to put yourself first and say, I am as important as the next person. She learned that she didn't have to put everybody else first or in the name of being the good one, the kind one, the humble one. She started learning where her responsibility ended and where the responsibility of other people started. And this changed everything for her, because on the other side of this inner work that she did to strengthen her self-worth and her self-esteem and manage her anxiety and her emotions, she stopped taking responsibility where her team didn't do the work. She stopped saying yes to more work and piling up her workload, even though her plate was full. She stopped entertaining people who were rude and disrespectful to her. And she started standing up for herself and speaking up for herself. So if you feel the pressure to do it all and keep on top of everything and be in control without complaining, if you dread confrontation, so you extend yourself all the time to avoid conflict, if you find it hard to ask for help or to express your truth and your limits, and if you struggle to stop taking care of everyone else, even when it is beyond your capacity to do so, then what you need to know is that you're not weak, you're not inadequate, there's nothing wrong with you, it's simply an emotional pattern. And I've created a quiz for you. It is a short quiz. It will take you 5 minutes. And the results that you will get off the back of the quiz is you're going to identify your personal emotional pattern that is keeping you stuck in anxiety and overwhelm and exhaustion. You're going to understand why you have felt stuck in these same cycles for so long, even though you are capable and reflective and aware and you've been trying your best. And you're going to get the first practical steps that you need to take to start entering that chapter of growth and start making traction and progress in your life again. The link for that quiz will be in the description box below. And if you want to understand why you're always anxious and really go deeper into the patterns and the behaviors of your anxiety, and understand what's really behind your constant anxiety and your worry, then you will want to watch my next video on why you are always anxious even when your life looks fine, because I will be sharing more there. I'd love to hear what value you are taking from this video, what you are taking away. If you would leave that in the comments below. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Bye.